Okay, Brother Kadash starting off by giving our praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakah Wadash. We're going to name this power struggle between male and female. That's the bigger picture. But of course, we talking about our people, the Latinos, Native Americans, blacks, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible and the power struggle that's going on between the male and the female. So today at camp, the Spirit kind of led me to open up the camp, going in on, pretty much the ways and the order that the Lord set up, and the biggest way is the household, right? Because the families is that is what makes up the nation of Israel. It's families coming together, and even bigger than families, you have tribes, and then you have the 12 tribes that and one make up the 12 what makes up the what you would call the house of Israel, right? Or the Israelites, So it's all about the families, and the Lord gave us law, statutes, and commandments, and showed us the ways how we need to build our families and have our families in order. Leading to that conversation, a lot of women hate the thought of having multiple wives, but the Lord likens us to lions. And what do you see lions? Lions have a lion pride where they have multiple lioness, and that's just the way that the Lord set us up. Really, He set up man like that completely because when you just look at the way He made a man could get 100 women pregnant in 1 month, but a woman can only be pregnant once in every 10 months. So it just shows you, just even with nature, it gives you wisdom and knowledge and shows you how the Lord set things up to be. So when you look at, and that's the same thing like with lions too. So when you look at, well, not the same as like time, but you get the point. That male lion can go around and get like 10 lioness pregnant at the same time. The lioness, they get pregnant, they mate, and then they gotta wait some time, give birth, all that. You guys know how this is. We ain't gotta break this down ABC. You know what I mean? So, and then the Spirit led us to a brother from. He said he was Puerto Rican, so from the tribe of Ephraim. His father. I asked him. He said, yeah, his father, and that led him to come up to the camp, and kind of dialogue with us, if that's what you would call it. But he was in his feelings. He was crying. He was talking about stuff that was going on with his woman. So that was the Spirit that led that, altercation to happen. We didn't just leave him out there. We tried to help the brother out. Yeah, we gave him a little bit of money to get on a bus, stuff like that. But our biggest thing we was doing was trying to give him knowledge of how to get out the situation that he was in, because it seemed like his woman had took all the power in the relationship. He helped pay bills at a house, and she wasn't allowing him to see his kids or be around his kids, or she wasn't allowing him to even be with her anymore. Because she had finally took all the power in the household, and that's what you see going on right now. You see power struggle between male and females because you have females that want to be in the male position. You see what I'm saying? And then at the same time, they feel like they don't need a man anymore because they have, let's just say the house burns down. Well, then you got fireman to call. Let's just say an intruder's trying to break into your house. Well, you got the policeman to call. Let's just say you need food where you could go to the government. He give you link or something like that, and then you could, and then he'll feed you. Let's just say somebody get injured in the family or something like that. Well, you could go to the hospital, and man or male or female, help you out at the hospital. So with all these programs, this is how Esau took the power from the black man. He made the black man not needed anymore in the households and the family, which is the biggest structure that the black man can have is his family. The most important structure is his family and being there for his family. So they made the black man, so-called black man, and so-called brown man not needed anymore. And that leads to what? That leads to the woman getting the power, and then when women get power, they misabuse it. And how do we? Where's the earliest do we see that at? Well, we see that with Adam and Eve. This is the exact same thing that happened with Adam and Eve. When Eve got some sort of power, she misused it because of her feelings. So what's on your screen? It says, where have all the black men gone? It says there's a gender imbalance in many African American neighborhoods. Mass incarceration is largely to blame. And why is that? Because Esau wanted to lock the black man up and take him away from the families, especially the strong, masculine warrior black man, because this way they will be out the way and Esau will have all the power over the so-called black race, and it's still going on to this day. It says sometime here. Let me find this. Sometime is I'm trying to find this precept in the Ecclesiastes, but demographically, a myth in parts of eastern DeKalb County, I believe that's Chicago. It says just outside Atlanta. Okay, that's Atlanta. It says in several predominantly African American neighborhoods, there are only about 3 black men for every 5 black women under age 65. And that's like in Atlanta where there's a big population of black people. You go to different places around the U.S. where there isn't a big population of black people, it's even worse. It says that sort of imbalance reflects a number of factors, primarily mass incarceration, right? And that's what you have. So you only got 3 black men to every 5 black women. That's about half, a little bit over half, right? That means if one black man was supposed to marry one black woman, you would have 2 black women out of every 5. Now times that by millions, right? That would be married, that wouldn't be able to marry and have kids, because what y'all say, y'all said one man supposed to get with one woman and be with that one woman for the rest of his life, and that's it, right? He can't have multiple wives. You would be leaving almost half of the women in the population unmarried and without kids. That would make your nation, your race, a very weak race and very weak nation, especially when it comes to, you know, rebirthing the next generation, right? The Lord, one of the first commandments the Lord gave us was to be fruitful and multiply. So that don't even make sense by nature. You see what I'm saying? So let's go here, right? And these numbers don't even show the truth behind how many men are actually getting with women. Do those numbers, because a lot of men don't even get with women. But just imagine how many men are getting with the woman and how many women are available. Do those numbers, right? So let me see if I can find this. This is Ecclesiasticus, Apocrypha, right here. 25 verse 24. We're going to kind of go into what the brother was going through at camp. So this is like a part 2 to camp. It says, of the woman came the beginning of sin. This is verse 24. And through her we all die. What is this talking about? Well, this is talking about back during the time of Eve, Adam and Eve. Because Adam was deceived by Eve, but Eve was deceived by the serpent. Eve, the one that took the bait, roughly paraphrase. It says, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. If she go not as thou wouldst have her, cut her off from thy flesh and give her a bill of divorce and let her go. Well, you might say, well, Christ said not to divorce her unless she commits adultery. Well, you know what spiritual adultery is, right? Spiritual adultery is if you sin against the Lord, that's you committing adultery. You know, you following other false gods, that's committing adultery against the Lord. Well, if she's not in order, the order that the Bible says that she needs to be in, matter of fact, we're going to get that and prove that, right? What does it say in Matthew chapter 6? Let me show you. Let me answer that for the Christians and the Catholics that like to run to that. This is in Matthew 6. What does this say? And this is going to prove exactly what I'm talking about, right? Let me see, because I might be in the wrong one. Let me find this, because I might be in the wrong one. Right, so Matthew 25 verse 29 says, if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast to hell. So when it says right eye, what is it talking about? Is it saying like if your right eye starts to get itchy, if you get red eye, and it starts to offend you and bother you, pluck it out? Is that what it's talking about? No, it's a parable. It's saying, look, anything close to you, any member close to you, that could be in the body, in the church, with the members, the brothers, or that could be literally at your household, because the Lord told us to set our households up a certain type of way. But it says, look, if your right eye offend thee, pluck it out. Now let me go back to verse 28 to give you some context. It says, but I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. So this is red letter. So this talking about a woman, right? Then it goes to say, if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee, right? Because you don't want to commit adultery. If she's already belongs to a man and she's married to a man, but your right eye keeps looking at her, it's saying, man, you better cut that motherfucking right eye out so you don't commit adultery, because you're going to follow the laws of the Lord, right? So it's the same thing. If you get with a woman and she's causing you to turn your heart away from the Lord, and she's not following the Lord because she's not being ordered to you, just like it says in Ecclesiastes 25, if she go not the way you will have her, she's not being in order. And she's not being in order, then that means that she's in sin because the Lord commanded her to be in order. It's just that simple. So if she's not in order and she's not going the way you will have her, right? She's not humble, she's not submitting to you like the Bible tells her to, then she's in sin. And when she's in sin, if your right eye offends thee, which we gonna get into, your right hand offends thee, then you cut it off, get it away from you, so the whole body don't fall. You might have to cut a member out the household so the whole household don't fall, so you don't fall away from the Lord. Because we know, going back to King Solomon, you know, he had strange wives that eventually at old age led his heart away from the Lord. So what y'all saying? He supposed to just stay with them as they lead his life, his heart away from the Lord? No, he was supposed to cut them off and come back to the Lord. Verse 30: if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not the whole body should be cast into hell. It's just that simple, right? And then of course you only leave her if she commits adultery. But guess what? Spiritual adultery too, which is what? Sinning against the Lord. You know, so the Lord got y'all in a trick bag, man. And that's why you have to search these scriptures diligently to be able to understand how things are, you know, and not be on a surface level. So let's give you what the Lord said the order was and how things are supposed to be set up, so we can get past this power struggle that's going on with the so-called black and brown communities, which is the Hebrew Israelite communities, you know, that you see well too much, you know, because we grew up, we seen women running the households, but that's set up that way for a reason. We seen women with the choice of deciding who to mate with and who they wanted to be with, you know, and we know that caused a lot of death amongst the Hebrew Israelite community, you know, because a lot of beefs and a lot of men got killed in the streets based off women playing both sides. I done seen it growing up where it was groups, or you would say gangs, in the streets, and I would see women dating men from one gang and then going around dating men from the other gang, which caused nothing but war in the streets, pretty much, and death and murder and jealousy and envy and hate and adultery, because it was left up to the woman to do what she wanted to do and deal with what she wanted to deal with. And then we see that in the truth too. We see women in the truth that's going around dating brothers, and they call it courtshipping. They say that they're courtshipping, but they won't have sex with the brother because they don't want to be tied down to be his wife. But they'll do other things. They'll touch on each other, kiss on each other. I give you a favor, you give me a favor. They'll do all that, but she don't want to have, you know, she don't want to go all the way with the brother because she don't want to be tied down to be his wife. So what she's doing is just running around Israel to different groups and courtshipping brothers. This shit is bullshit. And then she put the choice in her hand, and brothers is telling her to still put the choice in her hand if she could be a brother wife or not, which just caused more whoredom. And we read that in Deuteronomy when we broke it down at camp, not to make a whore of the daughter of Israel. The choice is the man. If he starts courtshipping you, he wants you to be his wife. You got to go be that man's wife. Can't no other brother step in and steal you and well, you ain't have sex with her. That's adultery, because she, at that point, she's betrothed to that brother. He's chosen her, so she has to go be his wife. Not so she gets to deny it and then jump over here with this brother, and then when he tries to make her his wife, she gets to deny that and then jump over here with this brother. It's still confusion, man. It was never that way. You have fathers that would marry off their daughters to men. If the father wasn't there, the big brother, the uncle, some close family male figure would marry that woman off to the man that they chose. Arranged marriage. Or if she was a single woman, then she would get chose by a man. That's how marriage happened. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 1. Be ye followers of me, even as I am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you. But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. So if she's not going towards this, because this is the word of the Lord, then yeah, it's coming from Paul, but it's the word of the Lord, right? But through him, So they always get that. I have to say that because they always get that mixed up with. They say the laws of Moses. No, it's the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments. He just used Moses to give them to the children of Israel. So this is the Lord's way, man. This is the order that the Lord won't set up. If you go against this, then you're going against the Lord, which means that she's in what? Sin. So if she's out of order and she's not following this order, then she is in sin. It says, every man praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonor his head. Right, so she ain't covering her head, which that's what it's about to go into when she pray and stuff like that, and she's just dishonoring you. You telling me, oh, you don't have the right to cut her off unless she commits adultery? No, you guys don't read the Bible. You don't cut her off unless she commits adultery. But guess what? Look up spiritual adultery. Look that up and see what that is. Right. Verse 8, it says, for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Neither the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman. But all things of God. Judge in yourself. It is comely that a woman pray into God uncovered with a question mark. Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it's a shame to tell him, which we finna get into something else, but if a woman have long hair, it is glory to her, and her hair is given her for a covering. But it's just telling you, like, look, there's an order that the Lord set up, and the Lord wants a certain type of humbleness. You see what I'm saying? So these brothers, it's all whacked out, all confusion. They don't know the law, and they don't know how things are supposed to be done, because they read the Bible for certain reasons, but they not reading the Bible to really find the truth, man. And you see that happen. You see that happen so much, man. You got to get to the truth. That's what you read the Bible for, to understand the ways of the Lord, not to change the ways of the Lord because you don't like them or you don't like that one, so you shy away. You want to understand and submit to the ways of the Lord, because that's the way that the woman's supposed to submit to the ways of her husband, man. The same way the man's supposed to submit to the Lord. That's why it says the Lord is over the man, the same way the man is over the woman. 1 Timothy chapter 2, go straight to the point, verse 12. It says, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to assert authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression. That goes back to Ecclesiastes 25, verse 24. Sin came in the world through the woman because she was deceived. It says Adam was not deceived, but she was deceived and was in transgression. Why? Because she wasn't humble. She didn't want to stay in her place. She wanted to have this power struggle. She wanted to be, this is how they deceive you. At first, you want to be equal. And then after she gets equality, then she wants to be better than. And then she wants to question everything about the Lord like Eve did. Then she wants to be Eve. Then she wants to be equal with the Lord. And then next thing you know, they're talking about God was a woman. You see the bullshit? You see how they take steps to get to the bullshit? You see, so she was in transgression because she was what? She was out of order. The Lord gave them law, a commandment, right? Adam was following it. And Eve was supposed to follow it under Adam forever. But she didn't because she was out of order. She was in transgression. So order is very important. You have to learn the order and follow it, And there are some righteous women that do believe, that is trying their best to follow this. And it's very hard to do that when all the rest of the women, majority of the rest of the women is being wicked and telling you, hey, do it this way. When you trying to get in the Bible as a woman and learn the right way, it's very hard for you. You like 0.1%. You see what I'm saying? All the rest of the woman believes in monogamy. Why do you believe in monogamy so much? Because you were programmed to believe it. Because you grew up watching fake marriages and shit like that, where one man marry one woman and shit like that, and then they get divorced like 5 times throughout their lifetime. That's what you grew up watching and seeing on TV, so you've been programmed to think that that's the way of the Lord, but it's not. Because why do the Saudi Arabian women have no problem with their man having multiple wives? Because they were raised and programmed for their men to have multiple wives. You see, so we just gotta this is what we gotta do right here. Perfect from the Bible. Straight from the Bible. Revelations 18 verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sin, and that ye receive not her plague. You gotta come up out of this place spiritually, man. So you don't be partakers in the sins, in the ways of this place. So you don't receive the plagues when the Lord comes to destroy this place. Isaiah 4 and 1 is going to happen before the kingdom. And it's going to translate into the kingdom. 7 women should take hold of one man. So you got to be at a certain type of humbleness for 7 women to bow down to one man. It says to take away their reproach, which is what? They disgrace, man. So that's going to happen. But you don't want to receive those plagues. You don't want all hell to break loose and it's 6 women taking hold of one man, you the 7th woman, and you decide not to take hold of him because you want a man just to be with you, and then you end up being left out there, just on the highways and byways somewhere, and Slocky, and and then end up dying because you don't have that protection or that hedge from a man, or even better, a man of the Lord. You don't want to have to go through that, man. So let's end it right here. This is Jeremiah 3, right? This is in Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. It says, for as my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy path. The ways of our path is supposed to be the Lord word, the Lord law, statutes, and commandments. How is a child going to oppress a man? Because it's clearly talking about the man, right? How are children oppressing the man? Because the woman is using the children to oppress the man. The man get down low, just like the brother at camp, on the highways and byways out there on the streets. One brother ain't had no shoes on, like he was standing in his living room. You see what I'm saying? The other brother crying, couldn't stop crying for an hour straight because he couldn't see his kids because the woman was using his kids to oppress him. And that's how Esau wants it, because that takes away the power that destroy our paths. Verse 13, it says, the Lord standeth up to plead and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard, and spoiled of the poor is in your houses. These are things that was passed down to us. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, say the Lord of hosts? Moreover, the Lord say, because the daughter of Zion are haughty and walk and stretch forth necks, stubborn, stiff necked, proud, right? It says, and wanton eyes, walking and menacing as they go, and making a tickling with their feet. That's kind of like the shrub. When they putting on the little model walk, and they walking down the streets with their heads up, they necks stretched out like they in a very proud state, and that's where the women are today, because it's illusion. Because Esau set the system up to give them power over the man, so they feel like now they better than the man. They don't need no man, and the man has to bow down to them. So now they walking in a very proud way. The Lord is saying that this is error, right? Now let's keep going. It says, verse 17, wherefore the Lord will smite with a scab of the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. And he did that literally, and that's the curse that was put on, especially the so-called black woman, with not being able to really grow their hair. But they don't care. I mean, look at all the women in the industry, they all wear wigs. They all really bald headed underneath those wigs, man. But they don't care because they still try to figure a way out rather than just following the Lord. They said, look, we gonna create a new thing, wigs, at one point in time, and we just gonna put our wigs on, and it's gonna be like we got whatever hairstyle we want, and we just gonna pay to get hair sold in into our scalp rather than just wanting to follow the Lord. So there's a war that's going on, a bigger war with the woman hating the Lord, man, and hating the way of the Lord. So that's why it's gonna be very hard for women out here when all hell breaks loose, man. When they finally lose their power, what gives them their power? The court system in the city. But you know what? If we was to do what the Lord told us to do, if we was to come together as men, then that would give us power back under the law, statutes, and commandments. And that's the game that, and that's the knowledge, and that's the gospel that we was trying to get our brother out there at camp. So hopefully he gets it. You know, with that, I'm gonna say salvation to the elect. Shalom.